I think sort of like we record once we start the meeting, or I don't
Yes,
know if Brother
it is
Roland wants to
recording.
start it. Yeah.
It is recording. It is recording, and the meeting is being live streamed. So he's got other platforms as well where
Okay.
people can join in. Well, it shouldn't
Okay.
really be because it's a chat, but anyway, I'll leave Brother Rowan to make his rules. So,
Sure.
Joy,
Hmm.
what, where are you from then? Where are you based at the
Good
moment?
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Brother Roland.
Yeah, Dr. Liz, I'll start the meeting in about 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah. Is,
5 minutes.
is the background noise too loud?
No, I can't hear the background noise. Are you at the festival now?
Well, it's an export. Yes,
At
I
the
am.
expo? All right
Yes.
then.
So I'll come
Yeah.
back to you in about 5 minutes.
All right
Please
then.
watch the chat and anyone that
Well, we're just doing
enter, just let them
introductions.
in, please.
Yep, we're just doing introductions. Okay, Roland.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So back to you, Joy. Um,
Yes, I'm in Florida at the moment.
yes, you're in Florida. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
And I'm Guyanese, of Guyanese descent.
oh, lovely. Okay. And have you lived in Florida a long time, or were you just visiting?
No, no,
Not too
no.
much.
I'm here like about 7 years. I lived in New
Okay.
York for the last 30 years.
Okay.
But I've been in England for over 30 years. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
tells you my age, right?
You want to get some fresh. You want some warmth on your skin. So
Well,
fair enough.
no, because we've just arrived back from London anyway. So
Okay. So you're sort of doing both sides. That's
back and
great.
forth. Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Why shouldn't we? We should be able to go anywhere we want. We are citizens of the world. Why shouldn't we? This is
Right,
what
exactly.
this whole I prefer to call it the Home Office scandal and not the Windrush scandal. This whole scandal is preventing us from moving freely like everybody else.
Yes. Unfortunately, only for a specific group of people.
Mm. I was shocked to hear that in the COVID pandemic, when the world was shut down, um, taxi driver told me that during pandemic, people were at Heathrow getting in his taxi. And then I said, well, do they come out of the hotels? He said, no, they were getting off the plane. And they said, we're business people. We can just come in.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. During the height of the pandemic, 25,000 people came into the UK a week during the COVID, traveling back and forth like there's nothing going on.
Wow.
Yeah. It's what they weren't from the Windrush community, I guess.
Wow.
When Jamaica and Barbados were having such severe lockdowns that you could be imprisoned.
Yes.
It's just shocking.
Wow. Well, it was the year of exposure. It began
Oh,
the year of exposure. So,
100%.
there you go, And so, the ball has started rolling and the barrel has been open normally since, the worms, but they're now
Crabs,
maggots.
crabs, worms, yeah, yeah. Somebody's joined us. Could you've just got your phone number. So what's your name and where are you from? Hi, I'm Sister Liz. I'm co-hosting for Brother Roland. Number ending in 326.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, my name is Onome. I'm just a participant. I'll just be quiet.
What's your name?
I was
What's your name?
invited.
Yeah, what's your name?
Onome. Onome.
O-N-O.
Ome. Onome.
Okay, can I try to put your name in there? We're all
O
participants.
Onome. That's Onome.
Okay, rename. Is that okay if I rename you? O-N, put capital, O-N-O-M-E. Anome. Thank you, sister. Where are
Thank
you
you.
where are you based?
In London.
In London. Oh, we've got Richmond here. I'm in Croydon. We've got Miami. Is it Miami, Florida? Is it Florida?
Yes, it'll be let's say near Orlando. It's a place called Claremont.
Oh, I've heard of Claremont. Lovely. And Onome, where in London are you based at the moment? We're just
I'm
doing
the
introduction.
Woolwich area.
Sorry? Hello?
Greenish area. Greenish, really.
Okay.
Greenish.
Okay. Did you attend the Greenwich African Liberation event yesterday?
I did. I
Oh,
was there.
fantastic. Welcome, sister. Welcome. I put Sister Lucy in touch with Brother Roland, and he presented to you yesterday.
It's very fantastic. And he gave us
Oh.
this contact that there was a meeting today in case we are interested. That's why I joined. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, welcome. This is an informal chat. Brother Roland's also presenting at the Black Hair and Beauty Expo at the moment. So I'm going to close my window because hopefully my son's cutting the glass. So he's going to join us in about, was that 20 past? So it's 20 past now. So it's an informal event, but we are recording because sometimes people's experiences help other people. But yeah, so we're just waiting for Brother Roland to join us. Anyone else want to talk? I don't want to take over.
Didn't get your name, ma'am. Sorry.
So I'm Inabong on Concord,
All
but
right.
I'm also
Thank you.
Sister Liz. Yeah, they call me
Okay.
Sister.
All right. Thank you.
But I'm half
Thank you
Nigerian,
so much.
I'm half Nigerian, half Barbadian, and so we're
Oh,
Windrush survivors. But we're trying to get through the compensation scheme for Mum. Daddy passed away in Nigeria after they met here in Birmingham. But my mum's she's 93.
wow.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
So
Yeah,
God is good. God is good.
God is good. I'm just coming back from church.
Okay, amen. I hope you got us blessed today, please. Hope you
Everyone
got
for the effort.
So where do you want to share your background or your experience? Or P or Vivian? Vivian, Brother Roland knows you, but I don't know you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, not really me. Not particularly myself, but I just want to listen in. So I actually had one or two family members interested, not particularly myself. So that's why I said, let me listen in, and then I'll be able to. They are supposed to join in as well. I don't know if they have. She was at the meeting yesterday. She's actually supposed to join in. I don't really have any case now. Got the information yesterday. I will just look over and see what I can come up with, maybe as the next meeting or something.
Okay, Oman. And welcome, Sister
Thank you.
Shaza. Roland's in another meeting at the moment. He's going to join us very shortly. We're just introducing ourselves. Would you like to say where you're based, Shaza? And I know you're familiar on this platform. This is Sister Liz speaking.
Yeah, greetings. I'm Shazza. I'm based in the West Midlands, and I've been coming on to these platforms for quite some time. And yeah, very supportive of the cause.
Thank you, Sister Shaza. Yes, I'm Sister Liz. We've met on a couple of platforms as well. This is only my second chat, but Brother Roland and I met in the House of Commons this week, and he asked me to help co-host the meeting for him because he's in an expo at the moment as well. So he's going to join the group in a second. We're just doing introductions. So Shaza, what's your experience been of the compensation scheme? Would you like to share or give an experience or advice or chat to anyone here? It's very informative.
Not at this present moment because I'm a supporter of the cause. I haven't been affected by it per se, but I know of individuals who have. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, so what's your name? Onomi. Is that how I pronounced it
Yes,
correctly,
please.
sister? Yes.
Yes.
Sister
So we'll just
Onomi.
hold on. I'll hold on for Brother Roland, right?
Sorry.
Holding on for him. We're waiting for him to come
Yes.
on.
Yes. Okay. So
All right.
just
Thank you.
introducing
Thank you.
each other. Yeah. So P, what's your experience been? Would you like to share, Premier?
Just a moment.
Okay.
Right. I'm here to listen and to see what I can garner from the conversations and how it will impact on me. I did arrive in the country 1971, and it has been a tumultuous time. So I'll see where we go from here.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to expose people's personal information. I just wanted to just have introductions if we wanted to, because it's been really traumatizing, most of the experience that our families had, and everybody's, I think, experience, even if it's not personally affected you, the impact it's having on the community generally and our children is life changing, isn't it?
That's right.
Vivian, are you able to introduce yourself? I don't want to call people out. It's just all right. So Brother Roland's joined us now. It's difficult to hear you, Roland.
You can hear me.
You now. I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for attending today. It's gonna be a bit unconventional. It's not gonna be the usual run because I'm actually at an event. So what I hope to do is just run through the eligibility criteria and the possibility of you being entitled to compensations. First of all, let me introduce myself formally first. My name is Roland Houslin from Justice for Windrush Generation. I'll tell you a little bit about Justice for Windrush Generation. We got two main focuses. One, to promote the Windrush scheme as it is, and two, to campaign to get changes to the Windrush compensation scheme. Because the scheme as it is at the moment is not fit for purpose. I think the scope of the scheme needs to be widened to include more impacted individuals, as well as to have more heads of claims in the scheme. But today we're going to focus on, well, the Windrush compensation scheme Sunday chat is primarily about promoting the scheme and to discuss eligibility and entitlement. There is eligibility and there's entitlement, and they're two separate things, and it's important to understand the difference between eligibility and entitlement. So I'm going to cover eligibility. Who is eligible? Eligible to apply to the scheme for compensation or status. The scheme is actually called a Windrush scheme, and there are two elements to the scheme. There is compensation and then there's status. You can apply for compensation and you can use the scheme to regularize your status, whether it be a returning resident visa from outside the UK for those who live there for a period of time, or it's for those that were born in the UK and got issues regularizing their status. As I said earlier, you've got to fit into a particular category in order to be eligible to apply to the scheme. It's not any and everyone that can apply to the scheme. There's a particular cohort or a particular group of people that can apply to the scheme. So eligibility, who is eligible to apply to the scheme? Or who is allowed to apply to the scheme? Who can apply to the scheme? If you fall into any one of the following categories, cohorts, or groups of people, you can apply to the scheme. You are allowed to apply to the scheme. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be entitled to compensation or the status. So eligibility. In order to be eligible to apply to the scheme, you would have had to enter the UK from a Commonwealth country before the 31st of December 1972. Before the 31st of December 1972. A few months ago, it was before the 1st of January 1973, but they have changed it, they've kicked it a day back. So you need to have entered the UK before the end of 1972. That's one. Or you need to have entered the UK before the first, sorry, let me go back to that one. I need to elaborate. You need to have entered the UK before the end of 1972 from a Commonwealth country. Says where from and when. So where from? A Commonwealth country. When? By the end of 1972. Or you enter the UK from any country, and it does not say except Commonwealth country, so by default it means Commonwealth countries are included. You need to have entered the UK before the 1st of January 1989 from any country, and you have lived there continuously. You entered the UK before 1989, and you have lived there continuously. Enter the UK from any country, including Commonwealth country, before 1989, and you have lived there continuously. You can apply for compensation to the scheme if your life was impacted, or you can use the scheme to regularize your status. Or you enter the UK before you got to the age of 18 years old, before you got to 18, before your 18th birthday, and the parent or grandparent came from a Commonwealth country. You entered the UK before you got to the age, before your 18th birthday, and the parent or grandparent came from a Commonwealth country. It's got to have that Commonwealth background, so to speak. And fourthly, and this one is often ignored or forgotten, you were born in the UK, and or your parent or grandparent came from a Commonwealth country, and they were settled in the UK before the 1st of January 1973 or 89. This one is a bit long, it's a bit of a mouthful. There are a number of criteria that need to be met. So you were born in the UK, and your parent came from a Commonwealth country, but there's a bit of elaboration that needs to be go into there. I'm not going to go into it now, but with that, I'm going to say, if you are born in the UK and the parent or grandparent came from a Commonwealth country, you should be seeking to get a better understanding of the scheme. A lot of those that were born in the UK and the parent came from Commonwealth country, when we introduce the scheme to them, the first thing they say is that I was born in the UK, I've got a British passport, it doesn't apply to me. That is certainly not the case. You're born in the UK, parent or grandparent came from a Commonwealth country. You should be seeking, trying to get the best understanding of the scheme as possible. How do you get that understanding? There are a number of guidance notes for primary claim, deceased estate claim, and close family member claims. Those I'll go into later. Okay? Get yourself informed. Do not act based on assumption. If you act based on assumption, you're going to exclude yourself from the scheme when you maybe well be entitled to apply, be eligible to apply to the scheme and be entitled to compensation or be entitled to use the scheme to regularize status. Okay. Entitlement. So that's eligibility. Entitlement. In order to be entitled to compensation, you would have had to have your life impacted due to your inability to prove that you've got a right to be in the UK. So you would have had to have your life impacted due to the fact that you were unable to prove that you've got a right to be in the UK or to work in the UK or use the NHS, etc. There are 11 heads of claim, and I'll give you some examples as to what it means or what we mean when we say heads of claim. So one head of claim is loss of earnings. So let's say you were working with an employer, Mr. Mrs. Employer, whatever term you want to use, say to you, can you bring your passport in? Because the government has brought about new rules. The game has changed, so to speak. So we like to prove that you've got a right to work in the UK. And at one particular time, and I think it's still the case, these employers will be sanctioned, pay thousands and thousands of pounds if they are found to be employing someone that has not got the right to work in the UK. Because you can be in the UK, but you're not allowed to work, get any benefit, etc. So you brought whatever documentation you had. Let's say you came from Kenya, Commonwealth country, 1969, you were working okay, you lost your job at the engineering company or the dentist, etc., etc. You went for the new job, was told to bring in your documentation, brought in the Zimbabwean passport in with your indefinite leave to remain, but the employer was not happy with it. And you may have lost that passport that had the indefinite leave to remain, and you brought in your Sierra Leonean passport, the Ugandan passport, Botswanian passport, nothing in it, no stamp in it. But you've got a right to be in the UK, you've got a right to work here, been here from all those decades. But that passport didn't have it in. As a result, the employer said to you, you cannot continue with the job. Or the employer may have called the Home Office. The Home Office may have a misspelled name there. The name may be Picard, or it may be Ricard, and the K was replaced with an H because they think it should be Richard. So when the employer called the Home Office, can Mr. or Mrs. Ricard work in the UK? And the Home Office say, the computer says no. As a result, you could not work, so you incur loss of earnings, led to you losing your job, led to you the rent going up or your mortgage going up. You had to sell your home. In that home lived your 3 adult children with a couple of grandchildren. It's a 4-bedroom house, etc., etc. The close family members were impacted, and I'll go into close family member claims, excuse me, a bit later. Excuse me. So that's one head of a claim, loss of earnings. Or you may have gone to, for whatever reason, want to register the new GP. Again, you're asked to bring in a passport, despite the fact you had your indefinite leave to remain here. You were told you can't sign up. Impacted there, you can't use the NHS. You may have loss of benefit, another heads of claim, couldn't get universal credit, housing benefit, etc. Or you wanted to go on the housing register, you were told bring in documentation again, you could not go on the housing register. Another heads of claim, right to buy scheme, want to buy your right to your council house or housing association house, couldn't buy. Want to open a bank account, another heads of claim, was not allowed. Bank told you to bring in documentation, you couldn't. And you couldn't get a bank account. Driving license, the same thing, couldn't get a driving license. Went and applied for the evening course or whatever course you want to do, a degree, HND or whatever. You couldn't get a student loan. We're not allowed to get a student loan. student grant, etc., etc. Or you traveled outside the UK to go to a funeral. Many have been impacted like this, especially those from the continent, Africans we're talking about here, or the African diaspora. Many went home to Kenya, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, etc. to go to a wedding. They booked the flight, check the passport. Passport only got a month left in it. In Nigeria, they may say your passport needs to have at least, I don't know, 3 months or whatever in it. However, you look at the passport, may have had indefinite leave to remain in it. Passport is going to run out. The flight is already booked. Wedding is already set and everything. Let me get a new Nigerian passport. You got the new Nigerian passport. Flew over to Nigeria. Wedding over, everything. You got the bag packed, ready to return to the UK. You went to the airport in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, or wherever. You were not allowed to board the plane. Said, I want to return to the UK. I've got the right to live there. Despite the fact I've got no stamp in this passport, I've got the right to return to the UK. The immigration officer, whoever in Nigeria said to you, prove it. You said you've got a right to the UK. We would like to prove it. You couldn't. You went back and said, no worries. I'll go back home and stay in mom's house, dad's house for a few more days. Eat some more proper Botswanian or Zimbabwean and Namibian food. Went to the High Commission, they did not believe that you were British. Again, they said, you did not believe that you've got a right to be in the UK. Again, they say, prove it, you couldn't. No issue, that should be sorted out in a few days turn to weeks, still not sorted. Weeks turn to months, and you ended up staying in Ghana for 9 months. By the time you get back to the UK, the job is gone. Your husband doesn't love you anymore, so you end up being divorced. So those are all impacts, our heads of claim. The list I've given to you, these are just examples, they're heads of claim, yes. However, it's not an exhaustive list, just to give you an indication. Now, the scheme has got here 3 categories. Categories in terms of who can apply, types of claims. You've got the primary claim, this you, the individual, are the problem. Going to the doctor, issues went off to Ghana, and issues returning. You're the primary claimant. Couldn't use the NHS, etc., etc. You've got the deceased estate claim, and you've got the close family member claim. There is absolutely no difference between a primary claim. For those of you that were in kid book yesterday, I didn't get to explain the 3 categories. You got a primary claim, the deceased estate claim. There's no difference, absolutely no difference between a primary claim and a deceased estate claim. They are exactly the same. Deceased estate claim and a primary claim is exactly the same. Except, please note that individual that would have been eligible and entitled to compensation or status would not apply. That individual that would have been eligible and entitled to compensation has now passed. So that becomes a deceased estate claim. So a deceased estate claim is a primary claim, but the eligible and entitled individual has passed. Consequently, as a result of, or whatever term you want to use, that claim would be submitted by the executor of the deceased estate or the next of kin. There is procedure for the deceased estate claim that needs to be followed or acted upon, or whatever term you want to use. You may have to employ or solicit the service of a lawyer or a solicitor in order to sort those things out for the estate. The deceased individual may not have left a will, or even if they leave a will, still it needs to be established that you've got a right to submit the claim, and also that individual that you say has passed is not on a cruise in the Caribbean sailing around somewhere. For that, the Home Office, for that procedure and protocol that needs to be followed, the Home Office or the Windrush scheme will pay up to £1,500 for you to go through all that, fill the forms out, establish that you're the daughter, the son, or the next of kin, wife, or whatever of this individual that has passed, and the individual is actually sadly deceased, and he's not playing cricket in Antigua and about to join West Indies cricket team when you were saying that they're dead or passed. I don't need to be cruel, but I just want to let you know that there are procedures that need to follow. £1,500 will be paid by the Home Office to cover that cost up to £1,500. I think it should be a lot more, especially when the person passed away abroad in Jamaica, Ghana, or wherever. Okay, need to chase death certificate, etc. So that's deceased estate and primary claim. Close family member claim. In order to be eligible to submit a close family member claim, and primary and deceased estate, before I get into a close family member claim, primary and deceased estate claim is primarily about where from and when. And in most cases, you've got to have that Commonwealth connection, except for 1989, 1st of January 89, where you could have come from anywhere. But for most part, you have to have that Commonwealth connection. When it comes to close family member claim, and I'll explain, you could have come from any part of the world, doesn't need to have that Commonwealth connection. You could have come from any part of the world and still be eligible to make a close family member claim. Do not need to have come from a Commonwealth country. It's dependent, in most cases, on your relationship or how you're related to the primary claimant or the entitled deceased. So when you say close family member can make a claim, what close family members are we talking about? Are we talking about great-grand-aunt, in-laws, etc., etc.? We believe the scope of the scheme needs to be widened. However, we are presenting the scheme as is. And as the scheme is at the moment, the following individuals are eligible to apply to the scheme as close family member. Following: wife or husband of the primary claimant or a deceased individual. And a close family member claim is a claim within their own right. Okay, so if you've got a deceased individual, they are the daughter of a deceased individual, and you are the next of kin, you have been appointed by the family, you could have 5, 6, 7 brothers, that particular individual could have had children as well, but other children, so you are the daughter of the said individual that has passed, and the deceased estate claim has been submitted by yourself, and an offer is made, even if it's the minimum, which is 10,000 for impact on life, it goes from 10 to 100,000. So you are the daughter of the deceased individual, and it has been established that that deceased estate is entitled to compensation. You can make a close family member claim in your own right. Close family member claim is your individual claim. Nothing to do with the primary claimant, it's to do with you. So I'm going to give you an analogy here. Little girl is walking down the road with her ice cream on a midsummer day, very hot. The ice cream fell on the floor, fell off the cone and fell on the floor, on the ground. Little girl is upset, so she's impacted. And I'm not trying to trivialize the impact on the Windrush generation and their descendants. We used to use other analogies, but in most cases, they were triggering. People got triggered. ice cream fell on the floor. That girl, this young girl, little girl, is impacted, stressed out, etc. You were at the bus stop with your sisters. She got sisters at the bus stop, aunts at the bus stop. Her father was at the bus stop while she was across the road walking with her friends. You saw what happened. You supported her emotionally, etc., etc. You also spent some money to buy back her ice cream. So as a close family member, you have been emotionally impacted, stress, anxiety, etc., etc., due to what you saw your sister or your daughter went through when her ice cream fell. So when you submit the claim, the close family member claim is due to how you were impacted emotionally, anxiety, etc., etc., when you saw your mother, father, etc., going through the stress of not being able to prove they got a right to be in the UK, couldn't work, couldn't use the NHS, end up losing their house, etc., etc. Okay? So, who can apply as a close family member? The following individuals can make a claim as a close family member if they fall into the one of the following category or the one of the following cohort. A parent of the primary claimant or the deceased individual who is eligible and entitled. The parent of, wife or husband of the primary claimant or the deceased. Children of the primary claimant or the deceased. Siblings, brothers and sisters. Anyone that lived in a relationship for more than 2 years with the deceased individual or the primary claimant. And this one, until recently, we thought this one should be in the scheme. They didn't have it there, but we campaigned, myself and others, Justice for Windrush Generation Campaign and others, organizations and individuals, saying it makes sense. It's time to reason that the following group should be included as well to apply as close family member. Stepchildren. As of the 23rd of April this year, stepchildren can now apply to the scheme if it has been established that the step-parent is the only parent that this individual knows. And by default, if the stepchildren can apply as a close family member, it stands to reason that step-parent can as well. Okay? So to run through quickly again, parent of deceased or our primary claimant, wife or husband of the deceased or primary claimant. Thirdly, siblings, brothers and sisters of primary claimant or deceased. Fourthly, siblings, children and siblings. So children, sibling now. Fifthly, lived in a relationship for 2 years or more. And sixth, stepchildren, step-parent. Now there are no numbers there. You notice I did not say 2 close family members or 3 close family members. So let's say there's a primary claimant or a deceased estate claim that deceased estate, that deceased individual had 7 brothers and sisters. He also was lucky and God blessed him with 8 children or her with 8 children. Also, he's lucky enough that his mother and father is still alive. He was married, but due to the stress when he went over to Nigeria to get married, ended up stuck over there for 9 months. Well, 9 years in some cases, but I'll go with 9 months now. 9 months, by the time he got back to the UK, relationship broke down. So he got divorced. Said the individual that passed away I'm talking about. His situation with the Home Office and the hostile environment lasted about 7 years. It was about 3 years into the marriage that he got divorced. 3 years into the hostility, the hostile environment, or the situation, 3 years in. A couple of years later, he got married. 5 years into, he got remarried. He didn't even remarry. He got into another relationship and lived for 3 years with this partner prior to his passing or her passing. So he got a wife and he's got a partner as well that they live in a relationship for more than 2 years. So who can apply? Who could apply? Once this primary claimant or deceased Home Office said, yes, you know, it went through a lot, but we're only going to offer you 20,000. Obviously, I would not advise you to take the 20,000, but at the point the Home Office said, here you go, Mr. or Miss, or whoever, whatever term you want to use, 20,000 is the offer. That should trigger the close family member claim. And which close family member claim, which close family members can apply? Is 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 brothers and sisters all can submit a claim due to what they saw him going through. Is 7, 8, 9, and children as well can make an application as well. His mother and father can make an application due to what they saw their son going through. His ex-wife that was involved with him during that first 3 or 4 years, when he was going through the stress with the Home Office, our husband, because we don't want to be sexist here, saw what was going on, can make a claim as well. All individual claims in their own right. That partner got involved with after he divorced his wife, she too can make a claim, or he too can make a claim due to what they saw going through. Stress, saw her crying, saw him crying, couldn't get work, he was stressed, locked up in the room, don't want to talk to anyone, was on the edge of suicide, etc., etc. So, and that is why in one family with one primary claim or a deceased estate claim, you can end up 10, 11, or 12 close family member claims because they all were impacted. And there's a misconception out there that is who the person or the individuals or the close family members who supported the primary claimant or the deceased when they were going through the struggles. Those are the individuals that submit the claim. That is totally 100% incorrect. You're a close family member, you saw them going through the struggle, you're a close family member, you were at the bus stop when the ice cream fell. You did not to have bought a replacement ice cream. You saw what happened. Okay, back to normal service. You saw your brother, sister, primary claimant going through the stress. You as a close family member was emotionally impacted, anxiety. You may have also been inconvenienced because you wanted to go to Zimbabwe or Namibia with that individual, and a holiday you could not go, so you were inconvenienced. That could trigger a claim as well. You've been inconvenienced, anxiety, stress, etc., etc. So that will be the impact on life as a close family member. However, you may have bought the ice cream, the replacement ice cream. In this sense, you may have assisted, excuse me, the close family member. You may have assisted a close family member. You may have moved in with you when they lost the home. You may have put them in emergency shelter, bought them phone cards. When they moved in with you, electric bill go up, your gas bill, etc., went up. Your bills on a whole may have gone up. That is the living expenses element. That change came about, and due to campaigning again, that change came about on the 22nd of August, 2022. Yeah, not last year, the year before that. So you can claim for living expenses. Also, another change that was made on the 22nd of, and this one needs to be noted and needs to be understood clearly. Another change that was made on the 22nd of August, 2022 regarding homelessness. So prior to 22nd of August, 2022, you could make a claim for homelessness due to the Home Office causing you to be homeless, to become homeless. They can make a claim for compensation. You have been sleeping around, bouncing around. Homelessness does not necessarily mean that you were sleeping on the street. Homelessness, sofa surfing. You're sleeping on your brother's sofa or settee, right? Don't stay sleeping on a settee, and sometimes you're in the living room. And he claimed that he's the greatest cook in the world, and you've got to be enduring the smell of his cooking, which you don't really, you're not really keen on. Please do not put the cooking in the application form. That's like a joke. Anyway, right? So you are sofa surfing. Sofa surfing is classed as homelessness. So the Home Office caused you to be homeless due to the hostility from the Home Office. After the 22nd of August 2022, the scheme was expanded, so to speak. So you could have become homeless, for instance, due to your own fault, due to your own negligence, yeah? Or even if not own, due to nothing to do with the Home Office, no fault of the Home Office, it became. However, when you went down to the local housing office or an estate agent or the housing association, you went to Halifax estate agent or whatever estate agent and said, can I rent a room or rent a house or a flat or whatever? They said to you, can you bring in documentation? Again, you had the right to be in UK. Came here from Namibia way back in the 60s or 70s or whenever, have a right to be in the UK. But you could not prove that you've got a right to be in the UK. And as a result of that, you could not rent from this estate agent. You take a run down to the local housing authority. They too said to you, no way. Computer says, no, we're not going to rent to you. Where is your documentation to show that you've got a right to be in the UK? So, despite the fact that it was not the Home Office that caused you to become homeless, your inability to prove that you've got a right to be in the UK prolonged your suffering. So the Home Office, or the Home Office's policy, a hostile environment, caused your homelessness to prolong. Even though it was not their trigger point, so to speak, they caused your homelessness to prolong. That was a change that came about on the 22nd of August 2022. Now, it's 2 minutes past 2. Now it's 3. I'm at an event. So here the noise in the background is due to the fact I'm at an event. What I'm going to do at this point is invite some questions, and hopefully I would have given you enough for you to be enlightened enough that you can ask some questions. So let me just tell you a bit more about the Sunday chat before I invite any question. The Sunday chat is a informal discussion, but we try to enlighten and keep it informative. We speak about the Windrush compensation scheme and the Windrush compensation scheme only. If you want to hear about deceased estate claim, eligibility, entitlement, people who came to the UK from Commonwealth country in Africa, and I'm going to keep talking about the continent, going to keep talking about Africa, because there's a misconception out there that the scheme is a Jamaican scheme, it's a Caribbean scheme. When you hear about the Windrush compensation scheme, please think Commonwealth. Please think British Commonwealth. And I'm specifically saying this to the African community, right? And Africa, I said Africa in the geographical sense and the political sense, because we are all Africans, yeah? We're black, we're African. But I'm not going to go down that road too. So when I say African, I'm talking about Zimbabweans, I'm talking about Kenyans, Sierra Leoneans, Namibians, South Africans, etc. When I say African, that's what I mean. Please get away from this idea. When we approach you and we said Windrush, you said, no, it does not apply to me. That is not the case. What you should be thinking when you hear Windrush is not Jamaica, is not Caribbean. You should be thinking Commonwealth. It's Jamaica, the Caribbean, and beyond. Not just Ghana, just not just Nigeria, but beyond. Commonwealth. So all those Commonwealth countries, not going to go in the list. There's a list of Commonwealth countries and the British Commonwealth countries on the internet. You can find that easily, yeah? From India to Nigeria, etc., etc. As I said earlier, and for those that were born here, parents or grandparents came from a Commonwealth country at a particular time and are settled in the UK, etc., etc. If you're born here, your parents or grandparents came from a Commonwealth country, you too can apply to the scheme. I talk about mode of transportation. A lot of times, another misconception is that you've got to come on the ship. Don't need to have come on the ship. Don't need to have come on in the ship. Don't need to have come on plane. My grandfather came here. Well, it's about where from Commonwealth country and when, and I give the timeline, etc. Okay, so please do not be distracted. Don't get distracted by the mode of transportation, or whether you walk here, you swim here, came on a boat, etc. That's not relevant. My grandfather came here. He came on a bicycle from Jamaica, on a penny farthing bicycle. That's not important that he came from Jamaica on a bicycle all the way to UK. That's not the important point. What's important that he got here in 1959 and he was from a Commonwealth country. So we need to be thinking where from and when. That's what's important. So I'm gonna invite some questions here at this point. So please, we don't do shy on this platform. If you got questions, please ask them. And no question is a stupid question. The only stupid questions are those questions that are not asked. If you got a question and you do not ask it, then that is a stupid question. Okay? So you can raise your hands. Debbie, acknowledge your hand. You can raise your hand and ask a question. Your digital hand, where you would get over in reaction. So you go to reaction and click on reaction, then you can raise your hand. If you can't do that, then come on camera and raise your hand. If you've got issues coming on camera, when there's a natural pause, so to speak, just open a microphone and say, can you speak? And then we will try to work it out. So please do not sit there and say, I can't raise the digital hand, I can't find it, I can't come on camera, so I'm not going to engage. This is about engagement, open the mic, interrupt, and then we will try to sort it out. So Debbie, I see you've got your hand up, your digital hand. So at this point, I'm going to invite you to speak, Debbie. So go ahead, Debbie, your question, please.
Thank you so much, Roland. Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Can you hear
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. So just a gentle reminder about another Windrush event on Saturday, the 22nd of June. It will be in Perivale, and Roland will be there in person to take questions.
So hold on, Debbie. I'm going to interrupt you. What we usually do on the platform is that 10 to 4, we give 1 minute for anyone that can would like to speak in a community event. But yes, the date again said again?
22nd of June.
22nd of June. So leave it here for now, Debbie, please, and I'll give you more time to elaborate at about 10 to 4, okay?
Lovely. And the question I put in the chat is, if there are multiple children, does there need to be a lead claimant, or can all or any of the children apply? What documents will they need? For example, power of attorney or whatever. What documents do you think the Home Office will ask for?
Well, in fact, let's do some clarification here. What do you mean by lead claimant? In what sense are you referring to a lead claimant? Who will be a lead claimant? What situation are we talking about?
Well, for example, if a will is left, usually there's a nominated person who is to distribute the wishes of the deceased person. So if there's a legacy or inheritance, or can the individuals apply when it comes to estate?
Right. So in this case, I sort of get a question. Right. So in this case, the deceased estate claim, the compensation claim that's going to be submitted on behalf of this deceased individual will be a part of their estate. Okay. Estate does not mean that you have left some big house in Kensington or money in the bank account. In this context, it means what they're entitled to, so to speak. So now whosoever is on the will, the executor of the estate, remember, so the executor of the estate earlier on, or the next of kin, and if there's no will, you have to go through a procedure and protocols, etc., in order for some facts to be established, need to have to go through probate. No, I'm not a probate expert. And also, let me say here as well, I'm not a solicitor, I'm not a lawyer. I've never had any intention to be a solicitor or a lawyer. Let's just make that clear. I'm coming from a lived experience, from my personal experience, or claims that I've actually submitted and I've had successes on. Okay? So yes, back to your question, Debbie. Yes, so it's who the next of kin, once it's established, going through probate, or it's on a will. So that's the person that would submit the deceased estate claim. In terms of the amount of claims that can be submitted by the children, by the close family member, right? So you've got one individual, an appointed individual, so to speak. If there's no will, you'll come together, you have a discussion and say, we're going to appoint Jane, okay? And then Jane is going to submit the deceased estate claim. Once that is submitted, then it's up to you among yourselves to share that up with children, to share it up, so to speak, okay? Have that discussion. Now, this is, we won't see this in the guidance note, the compensation scheme guidance note. But I'll say this. In most, if not every family, you've got the gatekeeper. And a particular individual that appoint themselves as the family's accountant, the lawyer, no one has appointed them. They just appoint themselves. And should they end up with a death certificate and any other documentation that's going to be needed to get this deceased estate claim, in many cases, they don't want to share it. They're going to hold it close to the bosom, and you're going to have problems getting out. The siblings or the next of kin are not going to, they're not going to see the other close family members. This is not the time to do that. It will not benefit the gatekeeper, and it will not benefit the follower, the other family members. What needs to be happen here is a family meeting, so to speak. You need to have the children of and the siblings, etc., have a meeting, have a discussion, start communicating. We've got the technology, good, lucky enough, use it. The reason why I say that is very important. The Windrush compensation scheme is about evidence. It's about facts. When you say you came to the UK in 1960, whenever, or that's when your father came or when the deceased came, that's going to have to be evidence. So you need to work together. In addition to that, when you went over to Namibia to that wedding, or when grandpa went over there to the wedding, or whoever went to that wedding to see his son, his 75-year-old son, got married, because he didn't actually believe that the son was anyone was gonna pity this son and propose marriage to him, so he had to behold this. So he went over to Namibia. When he came back to the airport and they stopped at the airport and delayed him for half an hour, I did not mention this heads of claim. If you come enter in the UK where they've got a British passport, indefinite leave to remain or whatever, and this happened to quite a number of individuals who had British passport. If a passport was taken, a documentation was taken, and you were questioned at the airport for half an hour or more, why did you go to Namibia, etc., etc. If that questioning, interrogation, or because the movement was restricted, and as soon as the movement is restricted, and they having the documentation is that the movement is restricted, you are detained. Detained does not mean you're put in a room and locked up. Detained means, at a minimum, took your documentation, asking your questions, you could not move without the documentation. If that lasted for half an hour or more, that can trigger a claim. In a lot of cases, they may give you some sort of slip or whatever, right? In many cases, they don't, right? Put some sort of code in a passport, a C with a line through it or whatever. You can check and find out what that code is. But if you're delayed at the airport, detained at the airport for half an hour or more when you enter the UK, Gatwick, Heathrow, or whatever, at the port of entry, returning to the UK, that lasted for half an hour or more, that can trigger a claim. Okay, we also got deportation as well, and there's a tariff there. I think for the first 3 hours, it's £500, etc., etc. Numerous heads of claim there. Back to the gatekeeper. When grandpa came through the airport, that son or daughter that went to pick him up at the airport, he will share the story with him or with them. right? By the time they get back to Yorkshire, to Bradford, or Leeds, or wherever, he being stopped at the airport, he would have forgotten about it. He will be talking about this restaurant that he went to in Nigeria, had some jollof rice. The jollof rice was great. But then they found out it's a Ghanaian that was cooking the jollof rice in the back. Yeah? So they're going to share that story. Won't remember that he was stopped at the airport for half an hour. No. So those sisters and brothers that were not there, they may hear the story via this meeting now to have that discussion about what grandpa went through. So one sister may have some information when he went to the doctors. She took him to the doctor, and he was not allowed to sign up, was not happy with the Namibian passport, Sierra Leonean passport, etc., etc. The brother that went to the airport to pick him up, he's got that bit of information about what he experienced, right? I may even know whether there's a piece of slipping, etc., the date, etc., etc., right? That's why you need to share information as close family members. This is not the time to be saying, you're not going to talk to this one or that one because he wear locks and he goes to the wrong church, etc., etc., and all the other nonsense that you'll find in many families. Okay? So, close family member claims about communicating with each other. Any more questions, please? All right, if you like, at the moment, I can't see any hands raised. If you would like to ask a question, just hop in, ask a question. Don't, we can let the protocol slip for now. Are there any questions? Sister Liz, have we got any question?
No,
Sister
I'm looking.
Onome. Any question, please?
No, I'm fine.
Repeat it, please.
It's a conversation, so if we don't engage, we won't learn from each other.
So, who's speaking at the moment? I can't see. Sister Liz, what's your question, please?
No,
Good
I'm just
idea.
trying to encourage everyone to speak.
Well, I'm encouraging you to speak. Have you got a question?
Well, a lot of questions, but I don't know.
Comment.
Most of them have come from you, I've discussed with you. There's a lot of questions there, specifically about the, and I don't want to say this in a negative way because I don't want anything to happen to my mum, but this deceased family member. Because if the person that we are calling the primary claimant has deceased, lots of information, like you said, has disappeared. But we talked about this at the House of Commons before, that everybody knows if you owe the taxman £5, that you don't have to have the letter saying you owe me £5. The taxman will know that he sent you a letter saying you owe me £5. So somebody will know what's happened to my mum, but I might not know where that information is. You know, and the Home Office in 1968 is not the same Home Office as it is now. Will they be able to trace the documents that happened of what happened in 1968 or whenever it happened?
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned document because there's certain part of Debbie's question that I didn't answer. I forgot. Right. So let me address Debbie's question and then I'll come back to your comment, yeah? And your question. Right. Regarding documentation for close family members, you need documentation to establish the relationship between the deceased individual or the primary claimant. So you, the daughter, the son, or whatever, yeah? You need to say, yes, I'm the daughter of. With that, you need a birth certificate to establish that relationship between you and your father. If you're the sister, birth certificate, etc. If you're the wife, need marriage certificate, etc. So you need documentation to establish, right, or prove the evidence, the relationship between yourself and the primary claimant or the deceased individual when you're making that close family member claim. Now, back to you, Sister Lee, Doctor. When you're going to submit the claim, the approach is usually get the story first. When I say the story, what happened and how it happened, okay? Then we can evidence as we go. Now, came here from Botswana, 1965. live there and work in NHS, whatever, okay, no problems. 2000, whenever employer said bring in a documentation, brought the documents in, they were not happy. Consequently, loss of earnings led to me my rent going up or my mortgage going up. I ended up losing my home. Couldn't work. I wasn't allowed to work for 5 years, etc., etc. What you may find, that's the story. That's the evidence. Not going to use a Latin term. I'm not going to use an legalese. That's the story there. So how the Home Office may say, we have no record of you landed in the UK in 1965. How are you going to prove that? There are various ways that you can prove that. So first of all, you came in 65 and you were working. So what you can do, even if you applied for pension and you do not you're not getting a pension because you may not have enough years. You may have left the country, etc., etc. A lot of applications can be submitted from overseas. You can pull a pension record and say, how do you arrive at this saying that I'm not got enough pension? You're not asking that record for those record because you want evidence or prove that you get evidence from the pension office that you're not entitled to that amount. What are you using that to do? Establish that you did start working in the UK in 1966. So that's establishing that you were here. You may have to pull a school record to establish that you were here before the 1st of January 1973, etc., etc. So once you've got the story, right, our chronology of events that happened to you, what was done to you, then we can go and find the evidence by whatever means necessary. And there's various ways of going about getting evidence. Does that answer the question, Sister Liz?
Yes, it does. Yeah. But it just feels like we're always on the back foot. But we have to find the evidence. One of my friends who's from Zimbabwe, when she went to get papers for her children who were actually born here, they wanted to prove that she was born here. They went to nursery here and primary school, but the primary school was in the nursery was in the primary school, and the place burnt down. Like you say, where's the records, evidence? So she was finding it impossible to prove anything. Her daughter ended up on the buses instead of being able to go to university because she couldn't prove that she'd been in the country since she was born here. She was born here, but then went to school here, went to primary nursery here, etc. So why is it always that we have to find the evidence? They should know that we went to school because you're getting child benefit, you're getting whatever. They should know that we were here.
The case that you referred to, your friend, is that a live case? Is a situation
she's now
ongoing without going into?
She's now resolved it, but since 2018, when the Windrush scandal thing, she fought for the.
Regarding Windrush, I would like to have a discussion with you about that privately, and then we'll go from there. So remember, let's have a discussion about that, okay? So, but yeah, there are various ways to go about getting the evidence. So don't let the fact that you do not have the evidence deter you from applying to the scheme. It's about what your experience was, and in many cases is, because sometimes it's ongoing. It's about the experience, about the story, what happened, and then we can evidence it, find ways of evidence. Well, I've got a hand up, 2 hands up actually, 2 raised hands, okay. We've got Debbie and we've got Joy. Debbie, hold on please. Debbie, you are before Joy, but just hold on a minute, please. Right, Debbie, you're before Joy, but would you mind, Debbie, when the fact that you've asked a question before, can I go for Joy first and then come back to you?
Yes, please go to Joy. Thank you so much.
Okay, Joy, may you go ahead, please. I would like to ask a question. Go ahead and ask a question, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This was I was just being polite. My sister needs to be admitted. She says she's been waiting. Can someone allow her?
I've not seen her. Hold on.
I can't see anyone in the waiting room.
Right, I can't see her. Just a second, please. Let me see if I can see her.
There's no one in the waiting room.
Sister Liz, can you see her?
No, I can't see anyone in the waiting room. I mean, just
Okay. Okay,
maybe
I'll
just
let her
try
know to
again. Ask her to try
rejoin again.
again.
Okay.
Ask her to try again, please. Please,
Sure,
Sister Liz, look
sure.
out for her.
Sorry to interrupt. Mhm.
Yeah, it's
No,
okay.
I will look out for her, Sister Liz.
I'm listening.
Debbie, go ahead and ask the question, please.
Debbie?
I think the question, yeah, okay. Yeah, I just want to encourage people to put in their claim and just to have the mindset. This is a hostile environment. This is not an environment that is known for giving back. They are known for taking. They still have our gold and everything in their museums and whatnot. So, you know, if you owed someone £10,000, you would want them to prove it. So this is what they want. And we have to have that mindset that basically it's a fight to prove who you are. It shouldn't be like that. But whatever evidence, this is why it's good to have old pay. You know, my mum used to keep old pay slips, and I never understood why. Because this organization, they're known for shredding evidence. So it's a case that we have to come with everything, whatever receipts, whatever pictures, whatever statement you can get from neighbors who you knew at the time, and just know it's going to be a battle, but nothing is given to us. So just be prepared for that. And I hope I can encourage somebody. Yeah. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now, Roland. Yeah, that's
Okay,
very,
yeah, so
very
I agree with
true.
you, Debbie, and that we need as many people as possible, many claimants as possible to be applying to the scheme. If you identify that you're eligible to apply to the scheme based on that where from and when, you got a close family member, whether it be a deceased relative, or you know you've got a close family member, or even a friend that you think would be eligible and entitled, please encourage them to apply. And we're encouraging you to apply. Apply to the scheme. It doesn't cost anything to apply to it, and there are numerous representatives and advocates throughout the country that can assist you with your application. Just go through the numbers. Got 5 levels of compensation for impact in life, and there's lots of earnings as well, homelessness, etc., that you can all be compensated for. So impact in life, level 1 is 10,000, level 2 is 20,000, level 3 is 40, level 4 is 70, and level 5 is 100,000 and above. And that to give us some indication, the impact lasts for, I think, a few days to a week. It's 10,000. Last week's to a month, it's 20,000. If you're impacted to the extent that you had to go to the doctor at some point and have a discussion and say, I'm stressed, etc., that should take up into the 40,000. If you went to the doctor then a few years ago and you're still visiting the doctor or have visited the doctor recently, 70,000. And if that impacted to the extent that it's impacted in life, you can't work, etc., and it's going to be a long-term ongoing situation, can be 100,000 and above. And a number of individuals have ended up in mental institution, etc., due to the hostile environment, due to what they went through. So, and that those figures are coming from the caseworker guidance. We mentioned guidance notes earlier. There are a number of guidance notes. There are guidance notes for the primary claimant, and submit the primary claim for compensation. There are guidance note for deceased estate claim, and there's also guidance note for the close family member claim. There's guidance note for the returning resident visa for those who enter the UK during that time period. I didn't go say much on status. So there's a guidance for status as well. But there's also, those are all guidance for the claimants, the applicants. There are also guidance for the caseworker, the decision worker, how they should apply, what approach they should take to the scheme, when and how, and what level of compensation you should get. For the caseworker or the decision maker guidance note, it's 107 pages for compensation. For status, I think that's 56 pages or 57 pages, the guidance note. But it's a good idea to understand familiarize yourself with the caseworker guidance. So if you've gone earlier, that impacted to the extent that you had to go to the doctor, the GP, and have a discussion with them, whether I went on medication or not. When you submit your close family member claim, and please don't get the impression that the close family member claim is has to be a lesser claim, a more inferior claim, so to speak. It will be down to the level of impact. I've had cases where close family members have been offered 40,000. In fact, a number of them, because this is a deceased estate claim, he had 5 children and 5 or 6 brothers and sisters, and his mother was still alive. Mother, I think, was offered 40, a number of the sisters were offered 40, and a couple of the children. And I advised them all to decline that due to the level of impact, or the level of the impact. If you're offered 20,000 and you had to go to the doctor, you can say in your casework guidance when you do the review, the tier 1 review, because they make the offer, you're not happy with it, you go to a tier 1 review. When you're doing the tier 1 review or putting that and sending that additional statement asking for the tier 1 review, you can say in your guidance note, it stipulate that it state XYZ. My situation is XYZ, I had to go to the doctor, etc., etc. So I believe you should be offering me at least 40,000 based on what is stated or stipulated in the guidance note, the caseworker guidance note. So it's very important to understand. It's to your advantage to understand the caseworker guidance note, not just the claimant's guidance. Status, I'm not touching status for a few minutes, couple of minutes. You can apply for returning. There will be a situation where the individual would have come from Jamaica through the Windrush in the 60s, came from Ghana, India, etc., Commonwealth countries, before 73 and before 89. Well, mainly those before 73, came before 73, lived there for a while, and had indefinite leave to remain. They left the country for more than 2 years, resulting to their indefinite leave to remain lapse. By default, if they came from a Commonwealth country, 73, then never say by default, they would have had indefinite leave to remain. Number of those individuals, especially from the Caribbean and from the continent, left and went back home, or they may have gone to the USA. But they've got children here, and every time they've got to visit those children, they've got to get a visitor's visa. They can apply for a returning resident visa. Live there a certain amount of time, out of the UK for more than 2 years, lost your indefinite leave to remain, can apply for a returning resident visa if you've got strong and continuous ties to the UK. Strong and continuous ties, children or close friends here, or you've got business here, etc. So, family members or friends, extended family, etc., that have lived in the UK and are now outside the UK. It's all assessed on a case-by-case basis. You can tell them about the Windrush scheme, where they can apply for a returning resident visa. We have assisted a number of individuals from outside the UK, in Africa, Canada, USA, etc., who lived here. Now, for a number of times, you hear that I was born British. I was born in Jamaica's case before 1962, before Jamaica became independent. So I'm British. Same principle with Nigeria. I'm not sure when Nigeria became independent, Ghana, etc., etc. India. When that individual was born prior to the country becoming independent, they were born British. However, and this needs to be noted and needs to be understood clearly. However, when that country, Commonwealth country, became independent, they had a CUK passport before that. On top it usually say British, then below that it would say Namibia or Nigeria, South Africa, or whatever. When that country became independent, doesn't matter where in the world you were in the UK, America, USA, or you in Ghana, your country, you would have lost, please sister Liz, know that. You would have lost your indefinite leave, you would have lost your British citizenship, even if you're in the UK. When the country became independent, you would have lost your British citizenship. In order to retain or reinstate the British citizenship that you had, you would have had to go through a process. One such process is either naturalizing or registering under the 1948 Immigration Act. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I'm not going to go into the details of that. But what I can say as a matter of fact, when your country became independent, that British citizenship, you would have lost it unless you went through a process, or in the UK and you're gone through a process. A lot of people say, I'm British. Not necessarily the case if you're born before your country became independent. Are there any other questions? Hold on. Are there any other questions? Any other question?
Questions?
Sister Liz, can you hear me?
Okay.
We can hear you, Roland. I think Sister Liz stepped out. I think.
Okay. Has anyone got any other questions? It's now 20 to 4. Mr. Williams, you just joined us. Have you got a question? Okay, I've just seen a hand raised. Just a second. Hold on. Sister Joy, did you have a question?
No, I don't. I don't. That was just to say thank you. But she appeared and then disappeared.
Okay. Shaza, did you raise your hand? Mr. Shaza.
Oh, greetings. No, I didn't raise my hand, no.
Okay. Have you got a question?
Well, yeah, whilst I'm here, it's just a quick question regarding, those who have deceased.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine many of them who have been trying to get their compensation and because of all the stress that has been caused to them, would there be some scope or ground to take out a corporate manslaughter on the government based on the harms that they've caused?
Not as far as I know. Not as far as I know. A lot of times individuals or situations fall outside the scheme, but that does not mean if you do not meet the criteria for the scheme that you can take other approaches. There are other approaches that can be taken. I've known of cases where individuals have were not eligible to apply to the scheme, and they're suing the Home Office. That's a different approach. But short answer to your question, no, not as far as I know.
Okay. But perhaps in the future, maybe that's something that could be looked into.
Yeah, there are a number of individuals, a number of law firms are looking into that, and there are a number of individuals that are suing the Home Offices. One particular individual that I assisted someone that returned to the UK a couple of weeks ago, no, in fact, last week, they are pursuing claim against the Home Office because they were wrongfully deported and they were out of the UK for 13 years and just got back last week, but they do not meet the Windrush criteria. So there are a number of cases like those.
Okay, all right.
And as you know, there are a number of judicial reviews going through. Some of them are Windrush, some of them aren't. And when and regarding the scope of the scheme, before the 24th of October last year, those individuals that were born in the UK and did not continue to live there. Remember, I mentioned earlier on about individuals that were born in the UK and had issues outside the UK. There were no category in the scheme for the likes of us that were born here. And for whatever reason, passport may have run out. You went to the High Commission in Ghana, Jamaica, wherever. And when you went to the High Commission to renew your British passport, they did not believe you were British and they couldn't get past security. That has happened to numerous individuals. Before the 24th of October last year, there was no category in the scheme for us. That due to campaigning and raising the Home Office, that category was brought in. So, and we are trying, justice for our Windrush generation, we have got, I think, 19 proposals that we are putting to the Home Office for the scope of the scheme to be widened. And we lobby in Parliament. We're at the House of Lords a few weeks ago. We're in touch and communicating with members of the House of Lords, and we have sent recommendations to them. And we have sent recommendations to the MPs as well. And there's the election coming up. So we're certainly not happy with the scheme. We like the scheme to scope of the scheme to be widened. For instance, there's no edge of claim in the scheme for those that have lost their homes, lost their house. There's no category in the scheme for that. No edge of claim in the scheme for that. If you've lost your business, you're running a welding shop or a hairdresser, a restaurant or whatever, and due to the Home Office incompetence or the hostile environment, you end up losing your business. There's no category in the scheme for that. So the scope of the scheme needs to be widened. So the long and short of what I'm saying, not because it's not in the scheme now, it does not mean it will not be in the scheme at some point in the future. So the campaign continues.
Thank you.
Any other question, please? Okay, right. So it's now 17 minutes to. I'm gonna put my contact details in the chat. Anyone would like to, and these contact details that I'm putting in, please share them. Don't need to call me up and ask if you can share the details. You can share them. So my name is Roland Housing. I'm gonna put my telephone number in the chat. Share it, especially with those individuals outside the UK who aren't quite sure about the Windrush scheme and would like further information. I am on a number of social media platforms. I'm also on user number, VoIP, telephone number, WhatsApp, Signal, Skype. You can get me on those. So I'm posting my telephone number and other contact details now. At 10 to, if anyone's got any community event, any announcement would I like to make, at 10 to, in about 6 minutes, you can.
Got a quick question, Roland. I know you're right.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So when we're talking about so you talk about eligibility and criteria as two different things. So eligibility seems to be relationship between the person, whoever the person is, and the Home Office, and not necessarily the Passport Office or the High Commission. Is that correct? Because
no, eligibility where came from. That's what eligibility. Who can apply to the scheme? If I am from China, China not being a Commonwealth country, and I enter the UK last week Sunday, when it is not correct, just recently. That meeting the 1973, 1980 criteria and all that. And that's the when. And the where from does not meet that as well, because China is not a Commonwealth country.
No.
So the eligibility is who can apply, who is allowed to apply to the scheme. So the first thing when you look at the form is, who is this person? Where are they from? What connection have they got? Are they from the Commonwealth? Are the parents or grandparents from the Commonwealth? Were they born in the UK? No, you can't apply to the scheme. They don't want to hear anything else.
No. Yeah.
That's the eligibility. That's eligibility. You've got to pass eligibility before you get onto entitlement.
Yeah.
You can be eligible to apply and not be entitled to compensation or status. You say you can be eligible but not entitled. But you cannot be entitled without being eligible.
No. Okay. Well, my question was about going from step 1 to step B. So using the compensation, Windrush compensation scheme, my mum is now regularized or registered or whatever. She has been regulated.
I'm gonna stop it there, please. Please do not go into any personal details.
No. I'm just saying. But so does that mean that if you've then fully qualified for entitlement, then does that work? So I'm just asking, does one follow on to the other? I know you just said that the first one doesn't come after the other, but if you are eligible and then you see that you're entitled, then are the two things.
You're eligible and you see that it's possible that you're entitled.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're eligible.
We talk about individual details one-to-one, but I'm just trying to clarify that. Yeah,
based on what you've said to me, then it's at this point to go and establish if she's entitled to compensation. And yes, you will establish if she's entitled to compensation by submitting the statement, chronology of events, etc., what happened, story or whatever term you want to use, and getting the evidence together. So in brief, really, you establish entitlement by applying to the scheme.
Yeah.
Eligible to apply to the scheme. So the next step is to apply to the scheme. The scheme should be entitled to compensation.
Okay. All right then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today, because I know you're trying to do 6 things as usual.
Repeat that, please.
I'm just saying thank you for your time today, because as usual, I know you're trying to do 6 things at once.
Yeah. So I'm going to this point, I'm going to drop my details in the chat. Over the next weeks, there will be a number of events coming up on Zoom and elsewhere. Just give me a second, please. So my details, I'm going to drop in the chat now. My email and telephone number. My name is there as well. If you want to hear about any event that's coming up, just Google my name, and then you will see it on social media or event right somewhere.
Yeah. So should I stop the recording now?
Share this on the chat. So it's 11 minutes to. So is there any announcements that anyone would like to make, please? We try to stay away from things like cryptocurrencies. So if we got in a community event coming up, Windrush event, etc., etc. Debbie, your event that you announced earlier, you can announce it again. You and I need to have a discussion. Yeah, so go ahead, Debbie, announce your event, please. Please keep to 1 minute, please.
Thank you. If people could hold the date, 4 p.m., Saturday, 22nd of June, Perivale. That's served by the Central Line Tube or the 297 bus from Ealing Central. But the Central Line Tube brings you right to the location. For safeguarding, I don't give the venue until the day before, but it's just 5 minutes away from Perivale Central Line Tube, where we hope Roland will be speaking and other Windrushers who want to share their story. And Windrush babies will also have activities for children. And so it'll be a nice family day. We want a balance of a nice family day and also give opportunity for Windrushers and Windrush babies to talk about their lived experience. Oh, there'll also be a PhD student who's doing research on this matter. I think there'll be two of them who want to do Q&A and capture the stories. So more details to follow. Thank you, everybody.
Quick question, Debbie. Is that Melissa Williams?
There's also another. There's also another student. So there's two. Thank you so much.
Okay, fair enough. Any other community announcements?
Well, thank you, Sister Debbie. I just wanted to know if this event will be a hybrid.
I'm not sure that we can facilitate. I'll see if I have enough support, because basically the children are going to be making their carnival costumes or whatever they'll be doing, and then we're going to do a little parade. But while the children are in one area doing that, the mature people will be on the other side doing the Q&A and discussions about Windrush. So it's connecting the young people, the youths, to the older generation who have lived through hostilities.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So I'm gonna make an announcement. All right. So I did say earlier on, the scheme is not fit for purpose, and we are campaigning, and we use different campaign strategy. Election was announced last week. No, this week on Wednesday. We're just about to go in the room, and we're delayed outside. MP was saying that he can't turn up, etc., etc. There was something has come up, and it was now we were going in at 5 o'clock in the room, and I found it about or something like that. So going forward, the campaign changes to the scheme. We are formulating some questions that we'd like to be asked when they send the canvassers around. The MP sends their foot soldiers around, so to speak. Some questions that we would like to ask them on the door. One such question is, what are you going to do about Windrush? There are other cases, other questions that we're working on. This evening from around about 5 p.m. over the next chat, next door, which is the Global African Congress CIS chat. I'm going to post here. We have some good discussions over there, and today we are focusing on Windrush. They will be doing some other announcements as well, but we're going to have a discussion over there from around about 5 p.m. onwards about their political approach going forward, so to speak. And a lot of people say they don't do politics. My view on that, if you don't do politics, then politics will certainly do you. The issue is that we are having now as Windrush generation and descendants started in the House of Commons. It was started by parliamentarians, the likes of Enoch Powell, with his racist utterances, and those racist utterances influenced the policies that impacted the Windrush generation. Started with politics, started in the House of Commons. The solution, all the solutions to the hostile environment and these things that the Windrush generation are experiencing, that have experienced, because it's done to them and still being done to them, started in the House of Commons. I mean, not the House of Commons, in the House of Commons. I misspoke then. Sorry about that. So in a few seconds, I drop the Zoom credentials in the chat. You should have it there within 20 to 30 seconds.
I've done it.
You've done it. So join us next door in over by CIS. I'm not gonna hop in until about 5, 10 past 5 or so. I'll come over and I'll be a part of the discussion as well. And hopefully we can get someone else, some Windrush representative or advocates, but quite a number of knowledgeable people there that we're gonna chip into the discussion. Sister Joy, if you can join in as well, please join in. But at this point, it's only got 6 minutes to go. So at 4, I'm gonna pull the shutters down. exactly at 4. I'm not gonna go beyond today. I can't afford to because I'm at an event and I'm a bit thirsty. I just saw some nice juice and the juice smiled at me, so I need to smile back. I need to go and drink some juice. So, are there any other announcements?
Just to say on the political platform there, Roland, that we need
Sorry?
to, this is Sister Liz, on the political platform there, we shouldn't wait for them to come knocking on our door. We need to be knocking on their door. We need to go to our MP and demand to them, what are
We
they
tried
going
to
to do about Windrush if they get elected? What are they going to do about Windrush if they're elected? That's what
Yeah.
we need to be demanding, not waiting for them to come knocking on our door. I would
No, no, so
recommend
we're
we
not gonna
all
wait.
contact.
We'll be knocking doors. When they come door knocking, right, we should have some question to ask them. However, we will be knocking. We'll be knocking
Yeah.
on Parliament's door for nearly 2 years now. There will be a
Yeah.
number of events throughout the UK, and they're just being organized at the moment. You'll hear about them. We're gonna try to make them hybrid, that those outside the UK can join in. So we're technically kicking off that today in the next door at Global African Congress UK. The link is in the chat. Please join us. Yeah. Got 4 minutes. Any further questions? Any comment?
Debbie speaking. I was going to say, I think 2024.
Yeah.
We need to look beyond the usual parties. We've been so loyal, yet we've seen in the media how well, the kind of support that they've given to Dawn Butler, Diane Abbott, and stuff like that. I don't know if we've become institutionalized that we can't move and see anything else, but I'm not saying that I'm a supporter of Jeremy Corbyn, but he was a lifelong Labour supporter, and look how he was treated. He's now an independent. So I think we just need to throw your net a little bit wider, and don't be taken for granted. Our vote has been taken for granted.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, I intend we adjusted for our Windrush generation. Most of the people that we work alongside and work with on the campaign, we are very adaptable and adjust. Nothing is fixed in stone. It's whatever work we will work with, we will use. So yeah, looking beyond the normal.
It's unfortunate we're not standing an independent candidate that represents just that one particular issue, because we've got group of people talking about one particular issue.
Yeah.
We as Black people should have independent candidates speaking on one particular issue. I say that as a lifelong Labour person, who has said exactly what you just said, Debbie. If they don't speak for you, they don't get your vote. Simple.
Totally agree with you, Dr. Liz. Yeah, I was born and raised in NW10, and I'm so upset that an area that actually doesn't have representation, the one Black councillor they had was somehow ousted, and now they're represented by people that don't even live in the area. But that's because of complacency. People don't get involved in the vote, and so when things are done to your community, there's nobody like you to go and talk to about it.
Yeah, but sometimes, it's not, it's not our fault. It's the opportunity given to you, because somehow you're ousted. Somehow you can have meetings and you're not even told about these meetings. You are not funded. There isn't a sponsor for you.
I've experienced that pre-meetings, before the meetings or whatever. But it's to report it, and then when you see that the loyalty that you're given is not given back to you, when it's not reciprocated, keep it moving.
Well, you only see people, in election time. You want to know where these people have come out the woodwork, because you never see them. And I'm in the States, and exactly the same thing is happening here. So, our people were in there and things were running smoothly. And all of a sudden you came in and says, what are you doing here? And you are removed. They remove you. So, it's quite an uphill battle. But, we give thanks to for Brother Roland. And, there are many like him who we don't see, you see. They only show us the negatives, but you
Yeah.
know, we have many positives, and those are the ones that we need to support, you know,
Yeah.
because they're fighting for us. They're
Yes.
fighting
Right.
for our people. Even if we
100%.
don't need that help, we still need to be there to support and say, you know, yes,
Mm.
we here.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. In terms of
That's
political
your
part, I
campaign,
think what
Brother
I
Rowley.
suggest you do is Google Bishop Jadu. I think he was starting a party.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna drop his name in the chat. Google him, and he is a Windrush campaigner. Um, I'm just gonna put his name in the chat.
Yeah, I started a campaign within the Labour Party that black people who were being dismissed or being excluded,
Yeah.
if the MP didn't stand for you, we weren't
Yeah.
going to vote for them.
Yeah.
Simple. And now there's hardly any black people left in the Labour
There you
Party
go. There you go. What
because
does
they
that
don't
say?
want us. So then we
Yeah.
should tell them,
Yeah.
oh, you're not getting my vote then, mate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Simple.
I think they've maneuvered themselves in such a way that they don't
I,
need our vote.
That's right.
I've I've just put Bishop Jadu's just I've not put his number. But if you
Okay.
Google that, you should go to the Windrush National Organization. His name should come up. He's a Windrush campaigner. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have been, and he's well connected as well. So touch base with him if you can, please, and find out what he's doing on the political front
Yeah.
for election coming up.
I
Okay.
can't see it. It's not there. I don't see it.
Right. What I'll do, I'll try touch base with me. Anyone that wants more information about what's going on politically, what you're doing around the election and so on, please touch base with me. My telephone number is in the chat. Drop me a quick text or give me a quick call. And if you need specific information, I'll go and hunt it and bring it back to you and signpost you to whoever needs to be signposted. A lot more
Excellent.
doing what I'm doing, and there are a lot more doing a lot more than I am doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
Okay.
you
thank
so
you.
much. Can I say thank you
Thank
and see
you.
you guys on the other side? Global
Yes,
African Congress have
Okay.
just started, so
sure.
they'll be talking about politics.
Thank you.
African Congress. Come over there, knock on the door, and we'll open it and let you in, please.
Yeah,
Okay?
we'll see you soon,
Roland, go and
Roland.
enjoy your juice, okay?
Thank you.
Oh,
Take
Yeah,
yes.
I'm
care.
gonna try. I've
Well,
got to
be
go now.
well.
So
See you
thank
soon on
everyone
the
for
other side.
attending.
Blessings. Have a lovely
Take
Thank
care.
Sunday.
you.
Thank
Blessings.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Much
Stop the
appreciated. Thank you,
recording.
everyone.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Stop
leave
the
it running for about
recording.
a minute. Grab my
God bless
telephone number and the
everyone.
email.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right then, everyone. Blessings. Thank you very much for sharing, everyone. Someone's just coming into this room. Brother, is that you, Bert? Is it?
Right. If you click, hold on, please.
Yeah,
Hold on. Oh no, let him in. Hold on, please.
he's in.
We're gonna continue next door.
Yeah, okay. Ewan, hello, we're going to Global African Congress. This meeting's finished now. Ewan? Yeah, we're going.
So the link that's on here for the GAC for CIS. If you click on that, you grab that link, and that meeting has already started. So someone should be there to let you in.
Yeah, no, but somebody just joined our group, brother.
Yeah, let them
Someone,
talk to them, please. Whoever, let them in, please.
I'll just send him the link for the other one. Yeah?
Yes, and I'll repost my details as well. I'll
Yeah.
repost the
Okay.
details.
Okay. Right.
So
So
let
I'm
me
just
grab
going
it
to
from the
speak
chat.
now. So that's your
Um,
details. Gone
if
back.
them just join in, they will not have seen.
Yeah. If you just joined, this is Brother Roland's details. And did I just send it? Did it go? Okay, I'll do it again.
Hello?
Hello? Who's that? Ewan?
Roland, it's Roland. Who has just joined the meeting?
Ewan.
You and
All right, I'm leaving now to go to the other meeting. All right. Have you got the recording somewhere, Roland? Have you kept your recording? Have you got the recording?
If you stop recording, I'm gonna cut it off YouTube as well now.
I press stop. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's on YouTube as well, so I'm gonna cut the YouTube as well.
All right then. All right. See you, brother. See you on the other side. Bye.
Right, okay.
All right. Thank you, Sister Esther and Charles. Thank you very much for.
Sister Esther. Sister Esther. I think Sister Esther was at kid book yesterday. Sister Esther, can you hear me? Right, I'm gonna end the Zoom now. Thank you everyone for attending. The next Zoom will be on the second Sunday of June. We host these Zoom meetings the second and last Sunday of each month from 2 to 4 p.m. on Zoom. 2 to 4 p.m., British Summer Time at 2 to 4 p.m. UK time for those watching on YouTube. Thank you for attending. Much appreciated. Thank you. Bye. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. You just joined the meeting. Can you identify yourself, please? Hello? Hello, good afternoon, T. I just see as T. You just joined. Can you identify yourself, please?
Tony.
Repeat that, please.
Tony.
Okay, Tony, it's Roland. Have you got my contact details? Because the meeting has ended. I'm gonna post my contact details in the chat now. So if you want to contact me, okay, you can contact me directly. Because the meeting.
I appreciate that.
The meeting runs from 2 to 4 p.m. On Sundays. Second and last Sunday of each. So I'll post it now. So grab the contact details from the meeting now. Yeah, give me a.
Okay, I didn't actually see the two. I just saw 4 p.m. on it. You see, so I assumed it was 4. But now you said it does say 2 till 2 with a slash till 4. So that it is my bad there. I do apologize.
Okay, all right. Don't worry. I'm gonna post my details in the chat. So you can give me a call and we can have a one-to-one where we can discuss Windrush compensation scheme.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Wow, what I'm going to do as well, we're in another meeting next door. We're discussing Windrush, and we will be discussing the Windrush, but that's going to be more political about the questions that should be asked of the MPs when they come knocking at our door. Not only when they come knocking at our door, but
okay, well, you see, I do have a bit of input to put into that, but I think it might be a little bit too early for me to really, you know what I mean, because to really put it in. But there is things that really I'd like to appoint to you to like bring up if possible.
Yeah, okay. Well, please, I just posted my details in the chat. My telephone number 0799917811 is there. My email address rhoslin1@gmail.com, that's there as well. So touch base with me. The meeting next door, the Zoom link is there. That meeting has already started. I will be speaking on about sometime after 5. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave the Zoom running for a bit. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So
All
those
right.
details
I'll
will
tune
be
in. I'll tune into the other one then. I'll tune into the other one and just
tuned into
observe
the
and see what's happening.
it's on the chat. Next on the chat is on the second Sunday of June. We host these Sunday
Second
chat.
son.
Second and last Sunday of each month from 2 to 4 p.m. BST, British Summer Time, 2 to 4 p.m. UK British time. Next one is the second Sunday of the month. I'm not sure what date the second Sunday of June is, but there you go. They got my telephone number anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get in touch with you then. I'll get in touch with you in the week, then, and we can take it from there. Then
Do you use WhatsApp?
I use WhatsApp. Yeah. Is it what's the lady's name that keeps in touch with me? Blah, 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 blah. Tashika, is it, or
Tanika.
um
Tanika?
Tanika? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, sling me a
She
message over on WhatsApp and I'll respond
right.
and we can chat, yeah? There'll be
Okay.
loads
No
of
problem. Thank.
other things coming up with election launch and that. There'll be loads of
Yeah.
things coming up, loads of events. Just keep in touch. Are you based in London?
Oh. No, I'm based in the Midlands, Wolverhampton.
Okay. There are things happening up there soon as well. But drop me a text
Okay.
and I'll give me a shout. Yeah, please, yeah?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Bye bye.
Before I tell you. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.